Ranch Babble. We had to take a break. It's a little warm today.
Extremely warm.
With the heat index right now, it's 91. All right, so we wanted to talk about the Shinkos.
Yes.
And when I showed up at Zach's house today, he said that, he didn't want to tell me this, but he wasn't fond of the front. And we both have the 804 and 805s. He's had the 805 on the back for a while. I like the 805.
Yep, it's awesome.
But we just ridden through a bunch of sand. And tell him what you were saying about the 804.
My first weekend with it 2 weekends ago. Scrubbed it in on the road first, took it out on the trails, and it was squirmier even on a little bit of thin sand on hardpack, much less sugar sand. It just wants to turn the handlebars and throw you straight down. Even if you gas on it and lean back, it still has a tendency to dig in and slide.
Which is what we both experienced today. And
Yeah.
And I know that I'm not riding it properly, but Zach has ridden it properly. And I could see it happening to him.
Yeah.
Now, I know a lot of people who put the 805 on the back put something different on the front, but I've also had people who say sand is, that it does great in the sand. But I think it really has a lot to do with what kind of sand you're riding.
Yes.
We've got the sugary sand here, number one, and number two, it's like single track sand.
Yeah.
You're in one track, and you would think you could go through it easily, but it's deceptively deep in parts. So you really, and if you try to go up on the center hill, well, that's all sand under there now. So it just kicks you back in, grabs the front wheel.
Which is the other potential problem of both the front and rear, the 804 and 805, is there's no lateral stops
right
between the big blocks on it.
Let's take a break, and I'll switch the camera view, and you can talk them through that on that. Okay, so the issue is when, and I've read, and you've read too, that it will dance left and right.
Yeah.
But on that thicker sugar sand, it's grabbing it and yanking it.
Yeah, and the big blocks are, instead of being smaller knobbies all over the place, you've got these bigger flat patches, especially the center ones, that are trying to compress down before they can dig in like a smaller knobby. But then, like when you hit that ridge to one side, trying to get up out of the sand onto the center grassy area, it just slips down from underneath you on the side of that sandy ridge because there's nothing to block the channel.
Now, I know what everybody's saying to themselves, or probably screaming it at this video, especially NWF ADV.
Oh, yeah.
Adam's going, "'Cause you're going too slow, damn it."
Yeah.
But we're talking about really tight little tracks in some cases, and I'm sorry. I'm not as good a rider as Adam, and I'm not a dirt track guy, so. But, so on road, they're amazing.
Oh, they're awesome.
And the 805 I love. I don't have, the front tire in this configuration is squirrelier than the back tire, like 3-to-1.
There is one thing I'll try. This needs to be mentioned for them. This is a supposedly directional tire. It has an arrow showing which direction to mount it.
Right.
If you see, it has a little bit of a curvature thing here.
Yep,
for
little
one direction.
scallop.
It's been said plenty of times that if you take this tire and flip it around the other way, which most people do because of the cupping in the center from hard braking on pavement,
Right.
you get more life out of it when you flip it around. But the other thing is, if you flip it around, supposedly this tread pattern the other direction is a little more aggressive off-road. So I'm going to try that just to see if there's enough of a difference to keep the tire.
And I'm going to stay the fuck off sand.